Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of Captain America the First 80 Years. Ooh, okay, and since it was a little bit lighter this week on my comics, I kind of had these other kind of things that I kind of wanted to talk about that I'd had for a little bit and kind of review them. So, I actually really enjoyed this because it gave a nice kind of in-depth look at Cap's 80 years. I mean, Cap is my favorite, but this is like from like 2021, 1999. So it pretty much goes through most of Cap's decades. There's a little bit some weirdness that happens. Certain kind of words are repeated, like literally like was. And Jason Aaron was like brought up in here, but they called him James Aaron. It was really kind of strange. I'm like, okay, but those are like the two biggest kind of ones. Now, granted, I'm not as well versed in Cap's history as I like. That's why I kind of wanted this to see what kind of goes on. So I don't know complete veracity for this. I mean, it is a Marvel one, but you never know when certain things will be glossed over or not brought up or whatnot. But I really like this because it's a very interesting kind of look at Cap. It gives you pretty much information on the decades, what kind of brought up with them, giving you kind of like certain kind of things for kind of footnotes for what's going on, what kind of were like the objectives, giving you kind of stuff on the creators. It was really kind of interesting learning certain creators were closer to me, like where I lived than where I thought. I'm like, holy shit. But it goes through like his beginnings, his kind of ups and downs, the various kind of stuff going like Cap being like a multimedia character, the different kind of objectives of certain kind of creative teams, timelines as well. It's a really kind of cool look, and if you're into Cap, I think this is a pretty interesting read to also kind of see how he's gone from the 40s, from the 50s to that, being more of fighting the commies, pretty much trying to figure out how to kind of get him from the World War II era into the next kind of ones before shifting off into like the 60s and whatnot, understanding how it's like, wait a minute, Cap didn't go into the ice in that kind of one, but then the ice bit was a kind of like a retcon thing. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Seeing John Romita work on it, and his kind of understanding from working with Spider-Man, all the different kind of shit that goes on. I mean, look at Nick Fury, isn't that great? It's like, what the fuck? And how they kind of went on some more kind of supernatural kind of stuff, him bringing resurgence with the Avengers, which is kind of awesome to see how that kind of works out there. Let's see here. And then seeing how they kind of changed up. It was very interesting to learn how the retcons kind of worked in here, and how some of the biggest things that I had known as lore ended up being retcons of everything kind of like I said, from the 50s where we had Cap and Bucky fighting kind of the communists and everything, but having it retcon later that wasn't actually Steve and Bucky, and doing the whole thing with that, and of course the whole thing of bringing Bucky back with Ed Brubaker and all that. How they then tried to do stuff with tackling certain kind of issues and whatnot. Like, of course, him teaming up with Sam Wilson Falcon and dealing with racism and all that. Steve being a cop, all Watergate and everything. And then shifting out and seeing what kind of goes on throughout the years and what they're trying to do with him and how he waxes and wanes, but like they try and figure out what to do with him. Let's see here. Of course, dealing with Nomad, doing the whole U.S. agent bit, and all that. Let's see. Yeah, the supernatural bit was kind of like weird with like Catwolf and all that. It's like they're like, oh, let's kind of see what goes on here. Then, of course, the whole Heroes Reborn and Rob Liefeld. And then we start getting into the stuff that I'm kind of more, where I kind of hopped into where I've got certain ones of these. Like, I wasn't really in there completely with the Infinity Gauntlet, but then we start getting into like the 2000s, and that's where I start kind of getting picked up as it starts going through, like, of course, September 11th, the Civil War, the whole kind of fallout with that, Ed Brubaker's run, and of course you got to talk about the whole Ultimate Cap and everything kind of going on with that shit. And then how Cap got brought back from Civil War's kind of whole spiel. And then the kind of heroic age and everything before we end the book. Pretty much around Secret Empire, but also 2018 with like a Ta-Nehisi Coates with his run and everything. So, this gets up pretty well. I kind of liked seeing what kind of goes on with this. It gave me a lot of more information and understanding of what goes on with Cap, why he's able to kind of endure as he does, and what kind of stories can be told with Cap, and how, they have switched up who's Cap and what kind of goes on with that, and seeing what kind of happens with like the Commie Smasher ones and all that kind of insanity. John Walker, Bucky as Cap, Sam as Cap. I've been, of course, on those ones because those were during my time. Until we're at to now where we've got Steve and Sam being Captain America at the same time. And it'll be interesting to see when we'll get kind of like an update to this with all the runs that we're going to be getting through here. So it's interesting that we've got a more kind of supernatural take on Cap back again. Now, granted, he's not Cap Wolf, but it's interesting that the current run is exploring that kind of thing again as the wheel kind of turns, as we've been seeing in kind of the Thor series. I kind of like that kind of symmetry and rhyming. So if you're into Captain America, I would recommend this. Look for it at your like local comic book shop or bookstore or whatnot. It's interesting to see the periods, to see actual comic pages from it, to understand the artists and how they got into this, what their kind of objectives were, and either their art styles and also their storytelling. It's a really kind of cool one. Now, it doesn't go big in depth, because it's only like about like 200 pages. So it's kind of a quick read if you just kind of like do it for like an afternoon or like a day or whatnot. So it doesn't go as in depth as like certain other kind of ones could. But it's a kind of cool one to get you kind of interested. If somebody's interested in Cap, they could be like, wow, this is a lot of interesting stuff. They could then try and find certain kind of eras that they want to go into, or figure out kind of their headspace of where they want to explore Cap. If they want to explore older ones first, newer ones, see where the newer one's at. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend this, even though it's got some weird kind of issues of like double words and sometimes saying the wrong person's name. But yeah, I enjoyed it and would recommend it. So those are my opinions on Captain America the first 80 years. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.